Hey,
Yo,
how's your day going?
hey, I'm doing all right. I
That's good.
woke up definitely too late, but all right. Let me one second. Let me turn you up a little bit.
Okay,
Um, okay, say something.
something.
Okay, all right. I think that's pretty good. Okay, cool. All right. Maybe we could do a quick intro for the chat and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So just say your tag, where you're from, how long you've been playing, and your goals for the game.
So I guess my tag is third strongest. I've been playing since I guess I first started doing entering tournaments like summer of 2014, so about 8 years. I'm from Colorado. Played in the Colorado scene forever. I'm currently six on the Colorado PR, and I guess my goals for the game is to I guess eventually, become a top 100 player, but my immediate goals is to shore up the spacey matchups. Um, I just want to focus on like getting the Fox Ditto shored up because I feel definitely lost. And traveled to a bunch of tournaments this year, and I've come to the conclusion that like I keep getting eliminated by Fox.
Okay. Do you have any feelings as to why? Like, does it usually go a certain type of way?
I think usually I get frustrated in neutral and it like compared to floaties, Fox is pretty fast, so I guess I'm having a hard time like reacting to situations or going for like going for the correct mix-ups in neutral. And I've noticed like at least with the Fox metagame nowadays, especially with a lot of foxes in my state, they're not committing very often, and it feels like I'm always playing a game of like trying to catch them, and since it feels
Hmm.
like they're running away from me a lot of time, and that's
Hmm.
also what's frustrating me too.
Okay.
I,
Hmm. Okay. All right. We'll take a look at the VOD and
okay,
let me know if you have anything to mention while I'm watching it. But I'll take a
yeah,
look for a second and see what I see.
okay.
Let's see. Wait, which color are you?
I'm blue,
You're blue. Okay.
so this is game one.
Okay. I don't really like these lasers from this close, but I think
Okay,
it's a little bit too close to laser. Things can just get really awkward really fast. Like, it's sort of like, this one might be fine, this one, but then like you can't react in time to like when there's no way you can react to Fox moving in here to shoot the second one. So you could have just like died here. I think
okay,
it's fine to laser usually when there's like too much space, and I think in this matchup in particular, you really don't want to shoot more than like one at a time. Like if you laser, like that's cool, but maybe chill for a second and dash dance and then shoot another one. Just because if you've already committed in your head to shooting more than one in a row, you can just get a run over unreactably.
okay.
Okay, and I think it's like you see him short hopping over and over, and you decide to go for a drill. Not sure about that, but I'm just gonna keep watching. I'll mention little things, and then I'll try to find something larger.
Okay.
Okay, this is a long stock.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm just gonna
Oh,
I'll see how he goes from here.
yeah, I felt like I could have like converted better on the end of that stock.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. Wow, okay. Okay, so there's definitely something happening a lot so
Yeah.
far where you want to force when an interaction happens. Uh, I think that might be why you feel like you're always like chasing.
Hmm.
Um, is because like there'll be positions and there's not like a reason why an interaction should happen. Like nothing has really happened in the game that makes it so that like that you know someone's gonna get hit, and you'll
Hmm.
kind of just intuitively choose like now is a good time for us to interact. I want us to interact right now, and so we're gonna interact right now. And I think that that's probably a result of like most of the characters in the game being like slower than Fox. And so, like, when you decide that it's time to fight and you've come to that conclusion, it's really hard to stop Fox and the other matchups a lot of times from just making some form of interaction happen. Like, not saying you're going to win the interaction, but you can force it to happen. You can force
Yeah.
there to be like you're hitting their shield or they're dodging or they're hitting you back or something like that. So like these like a lot of times you're doing these nairs which are like they're kind of from far away like that. There's that nair right here. Where it's like okay, so you do this laser for no reason really. And then you just go for this nair and it's like, yeah, like you can't force right like this moment to be an interaction because what you're thinking is like, oh, if I can force it, then like I can either hit him or get a shield pressure or something, and like you just can't force it. You're the same speed, so you have to be a little bit more careful with how you play neutral. You go for it again here, where you just see him and you just go for like the nair force. I think it even happens one more time. Yeah, like right there. And it's like none of these attacks are from close enough or the other foxes in lag or anything like that. Um,
Okay.
like the goal in the Ditto is basically to bait the other fox to do something first. You don't usually want to be the one that's acting first. A lot of times, dash back and full hop and like full hop to platform stuff are just like too strong. And honestly, even like shield, honestly, like those combination of like dash back, shield, and full hop, and like shine out of shield specifically, are like so strong that whichever fox wants to make the interaction happen is usually at like a bit of a disadvantage unless they've already like done some form of neutral game that has cornered the other player in some way.
Okay.
So far it's definitely that's come up just like a lot so far. That is that
Yeah.
same nair.
I feel like in a lot of matchups I could get away with that a little bit more, and I think that's why I
Yeah,
feel
that's
like I
exactly
struggle
what
a
I
bit
was
more.
saying. Is that it's like
Yeah,
it's way it works way better against the other characters to force interactions from those distances.
for sure.
Mm. And definitely, like, even if you were gonna do those nairs, like, I think that, like, nairing in can be okay, but you need to do it from a lot closer
Okay.
if you're gonna do it in this matchup. Because just the basically, like, the dash back is so good. Think of it like Marth, where you want your nair to, like, cross up so you can hit the dash back.
Hmm. I think maybe like I have an issue with like being comfortable at being closer at closer ranges against Fox as Fox.
Hmm.
So
What do you,
I don't.
yeah, do you feel like when you're playing at the closer range that they just sort of hit you, or?
Yeah, that's kind of how it feels.
Mm-hmm. Um, so, hmm.
Like sometimes I try to like fix the or try to work around that by like dashing in and then dashing back, but then doing like a pivot nair, and sometimes that kind of catches them off. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes,
Yeah, so you really want to focus on those three options:
right,
shield, full hop, and dash back.
okay,
Some combination of those three will usually let you like play a neutral situation in the most careful way possible. I personally think full hop is like the best one. Like it's really easy to rely on and it's really good, and unless you're on like FD or in the middle of stadium, if you full hop and they don't throw something out, you just go to a platform or like you fade
right,
back, like you like retreat. Um,
right. Double jumps essentially like a option to like
yeah, exactly.
get out of a situation you don't think is favorable.
Mm-hmm. Dashback is just really good, like in general, just because like if they're in the air, like naring or drilling or something, your dashback will always just be faster, which is
Okay,
like what you're basically running into when you're the aggressor. Um, so like a lot of times, so okay, let me just. So basically, the theory behind the full hop is in order to hit your full hop out of the air, they also need to full hop aerial. And so basically, like, to beat your empty full hop, they would need to either full hop up air or full hop nair as like a hard read. And that's not that good most of the time, Like, if they're trying to hard read you with instant full hop nairs or up airs, a lot of times they're just going to get punished for that. And also, even if they read the timing, there's a lot of different like spacings and drifts that you can do your full hop at.
hmm,
Not to mention, if you happen to do full hop nair, they can't beat that with the full hop rising up air or the nair. So you basically beat all of the options that aren't full hop instant aerial with an empty full hop. And if you start your full hop aerial earlier, you'll usually beat their rising aerials. But the biggest point is that when you're close to them on the ground, if you full hop and they do a grounded move, you get to punish. You fall on them with a drill or an up air, or at later percents like a back air.
hmm,
Um, if they do a short hop aerial, you get to fall on them and combo them. And then if they don't commit, most of the time you don't have to really commit either. And so a lot of times there's this sort of feeling in the Fox Ditto where you're like, we're not interacting, we're not interacting. And then you kind of feel the energy shift, and it feels like both players are kind of just going to make like a choice. Like, okay, now we just throw each other, like, throw the foxes at each other and see what pops out. And those are the moments when you want to just press the full hop, because almost any decision they make will just get countered by it. So you want to look for the moment where there's like gonna be a scramble, and then you want to be the one to full hop out of that scramble to beat the majority of their options, and just sort of look to see if something happens. If it doesn't really happen, then you just leave. You can use dashback for the same way as long as you have enough, or in the same way as long as you have enough stage to dash back to.
right,
You don't want to get overly cornered, because then you can get like nared and stuff like that just because you can't get out of the way.
right. Or they could try to go for running shine in the corner.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think you played this well. Like when you're stuck in the corner here, you're just like shielding, full hopping. Let's see what happened here.
I thought he would commit to it. It looks like I thought he would commit to an option, and then he just dash backed, and then
Mm-hmm.
turned around and aired.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're deciding to go for it here, it's okay. You seem to have a little bit of an issue of like attacking right where your opponent is. Like,
Hmm.
you make the decision. You've done it on a few of the nairs too. It's like you made the decision right here. Let's see, where is it? Right here when you're running in.
Hmm.
You've made the decision to shine right where they currently are, and I think
That,
that is overall, not a great decision, just because specifically, like in the Ditto, the majority of the time, he's either going to be full hopping or dashing back here.
I
So,
I have noticed that I have an issue like going for overshoots. I'm like I know like to go for like in place or undershoots, but like anytime I need to like overshoot something, I have a hard time
mm-hmm.
doing that in the moment.
It makes sense. Just like Fox is so fast that every time I'm running at him, I'm like, man, this move's just gonna miss. Like he's just gonna
Yeah,
dash away. It's gonna miss. And like a lot of your moves have missed so far because they're hitting right. They're hitting like where Fox was a second ago, and it's
right.
like so. It's like you've already committed like you don't need to make this commitment, but you've decided to. Just you have to keep the dash back in mind because if you're this Fox, there is no thought in your mind after this back air except to dash back. Like
Okay.
if you look at it from this guy's perspective, it's like back air, dash away as fast as I can. It's either back air or sorry, either dash away or here or like pray and up tilt, which I don't think is that good, but it probably would have hit you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that was bad.
Yeah, that was like I'm super
It happens, yeah.
confident about ledge dash in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like going for dash grab here, it's just like, raw grab, not really the play. Look at what happens here if instead on any of these, like right here, let's say right here you do dash and you feel that he's coming in, and instead of trying to dash dance around it, you full hopped. You would have gotten a free you would have gotten like a free drill here.
Okay.
Okay, and then right here, instead of this grab, if you full hopped again, you literally get another free. You get full hop, fall through the platform, and hit him.
Okay.
So a lot of times when those situations come up, the right answer is just gonna be full hop, like
Okay.
kind of an uncomfortable proportion of the time.
Okay. I'll tr Alright, I'll like update my game plan to be
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, full hop in like scramble situations quite a bit
Yes.
more.
Yeah. So look at this. It happens again right here. Where you play neutral, and you go for this nair. But if you had full hopped at this exact time and you were right here, you would have just literally punished the down air
Oh, wow.
again.
Oh
No,
my
it's
God.
it's it's crazy. It's just like every time there's an interaction, if you are the one full hopping, you won.
Oh my. Okay.
And because it's so strong, a lot of times the matchup becomes like dash dance safely, feel slightly threatened, full hop. Dash dance
Okay.
safely, feel slightly threatened, full hop. Because if they it's not just the full hop in place. You got to use like the dash forward ones and like drift mix up.
Hmm.
But it just sort of creates a situation where you're either like pretty safe just dash dancing, or you're in some form of like full hop trying to get an advantage position.
Okay.
And if you're pretty much just in one of those, it's really hard to hit you. Whereas if you start taking these like more risky like read dash dances, you just have to sort of know that you're rolling the dice. And like there where you get drilled. And so a lot of times you know, if you just full hop and dash dance safely and they just full hop and dash dance safely, the neutral can sometimes go for a really long time. And so like there are points where you're like, oh yeah, I'm safe and full hopping. You're doing it and you're safe too. And you're sort of like looking for a spot to actually go in and kind of break the stalemate. And I
Right.
think that is okay to do. Like it's definitely
Okay.
fine to do that. Like you don't have to just maintain the stalemate forever, but you want to make sure that you have created, like you want to create. Okay, so this is a perfect example right here. You need to create some form of advantage. However, even if it's just like almost like a mental advantage, um, not a full mental advantage, but let me show you like right here. So it's right here. So after this whiff, you have an advantage, right? Like you have a frame advantage right here, and it's like you don't really have a frame advantage, but you have a frame advantage in the fact that like theoretically you had a frame advantage because they were in their Nair lag.
Yep.
And they know that too, and so they haven't been able to react to the fact that you like dashed late here. As far as they know, their Nair might be getting whiff punished right now, and so they want to dash back because they're afraid, or spot dodge or something, because they're afraid that you're about to whiff punish this. And so that is some form of an advantage where you can make this read to like shine here or drill here or do something like that. Because, you know, like there's a theoretical advantage here that you're playing off of. Your opponent is not going to do this Nair and then immediately drill in place. It's just not going to happen because they
Right.
might be getting punished already. They're not going to like waste a bunch of frames to do this drill because it'll get hit by every person being like, oh, the Nair, and trying to like grab it or something, you know, because you have to get stuck in your jump squad frames and all that. So they don't want to do that. And so that small advantage gives you a perfect window to read the dash back. And they basically have a 50-50 here to dash in or dash back. And the idea is like if you do a cross up and you read them here with the shine and they dash this way to the left, they're not going to really be able to react and like punish you. So you basically have like a fairly safe read to check the overshoot. And if the overshoot doesn't happen, they're not usually going to be like drilling in place here or something. So you don't take it, which is fine. Like you don't have to take every advantage. But then when you decide to actually come in, it's like kind of close, but it's too far. It's like it's almost the same because they whiff the drill, but they whiff the drill at like this distance, you know? And so they're way more likely from this position to be like, I actually don't have to dash back. I have enough time. They're way more likely here to up tilt or full hop or drill or whatever because they've landed at a range where they're like, oh, there's a slight disadvantage maybe, but not enough that you can really get to me in time. And so they're way more likely to do this shine drill or something here because they didn't really think that that Nair was going to get whiff punished or that drill or whatever they just did. Yeah. So that's something you got to keep in mind is like, that's sort of where the real approaches happen is like finding those little advantages and then using it to do little like safe checks.
Okay. I'm gonna write that down. My little advantages for safe checks.
And there's very small advantages because Fox is so fast.
For sure.
So you don't really get a real one. You get these little fake ones. Yeah, so this is fine. Okay, but you don't want to just break this with like this rando Nair.
Yeah, I think I get like impatient because I want something to happen, and I'm also down. And like I guess this particular player, I know that he's very very patient, so I guess I become pressed to like, all right, well I gotta break it, but maybe I should just be a little bit more patient too.
Yeah, so it's not like when you're dash dancing, more is happening than when you're hitting someone. Like I feel like the dash dancing is kind of like not that engaging, or it's like not much is happening, and then like when you're throwing out a hitbox, that like all kinds of stuff is happening, and it's just not true. Like there's so much happening while you're dash dancing, and you just need to play the game during the dash dance. Like you're basically just ignoring the dash dance game and then, you know, wanting to bypass it with like these aerials. And you need to just be able to find enjoyment in the dash dance game because there's like a lot happening here. But okay, so I'll show you. So what happens is you've both made the decision to maintain safe range. This is like clear because if you watch this dash dance, it's like you're both maintaining that exact distance. So watch the space between the foxes. This is what will happen when both foxes are trying to bait the other fox with their dash dance. Like you're basically, both of you are like, hey, throw out a dumb aerial at me, you know?
Yeah, and then I break first by
And th-
throwing out the dumb aerial.
but it's not about who breaks first, and I want to show you that right now. So look at
Okay.
this. So watch how the range is maintained by both of you. Like both of you are actively working to you both dash in, see that this happens, and you don't like it, and you both go back because you're trying to maintain. It's literally like this spacing or slightly closer than this, and so it gets maintained, and it's still being maintained perfectly. Like you're both committed to this goal. So, and then you decide to just nair from far away. So the point is here. Think of it as um, kind of like relativity, where it's just like if both foxes are moving back and forth, they're like not moving. So basically, imagine them both like stationary, because
Okay.
that's like what's happening. Because the space between you is the real space. You know, this makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what you can do from there is you can decide to move in closer, which will completely break this whole we've both decided to be defensive thing. And so you have two options. Option one is get in closer and then get in closer again and fight, or get in closer and then leave. So basically, imagine if there was no dash dancing going on at all, and the two foxes are just standing here, and you get run into this distance, run back to here, or run into this distance, wait, because they'll do like if you run in here, they'll dash back here, right, to maintain the distance. And so what you can do is dash in, and then you wait because they're gonna dash away, and then they're gonna come back in because they think when they come back in that you'll go back. But you don't have to go back. You can
I
go
can just
in and they go away, and then you wait and they come back, and then you go in and then you force a fight if you want.
yeah. Or and then like at worst, like I just took space,
Yeah.
which is pretty good.
And the other way, right, is you go to here and then they go back and you wait and then they come back towards you and then you go back, but you go back like you basically go back in a way where it looks like you let them close the space. Like you went in and they went back, which means the space is now even again. And then when they come forward, you're still standing there for a second or dashing there for a second. And so they'll, like, you want to look vulnerable and then dash away and reset the position.
Okay.
So you have like a chance to like do nothing, which is maintaining the range, which is what you're currently doing, and that can happen for as long as you really want. But then you can either poke in to get closer to fight, or poke in and then go back to the stalemate range to see if you can get them to throw something out. And both of those are like fairly safe. An interaction will happen at some point if you keep, you know, um, rocking the boat like that. Like if you keep moving in, eventually interactions will happen. But it doesn't need to be like we're in this stalemate range. Here we go, and now I break it by attacking. That's not going to work because the whole point of this range is that you were both maintaining the stalemate range on the ground.
Okay.
So if you break that immediately, you're not going to get something. You have to. So when you're dash dancing, instead of seeing it as like we're dash dancing, nothing's happening, I'm either going to try to hit him or he's going to try to hit me or whatever, that's not a good way to think about it. While you're dash dancing, you have to be really aware of what range is being maintained. And like, oh, so you like this range, huh? Well, what if I squish in a little bit on that range? Do you like that? And then you back up and you see if they swing, you know? Stuff like that. And that should be just as engaging to you, if not more, than actually like hitting them.
I guess what I'm currently thinking about is reframing how like I guess how I view the dash dance game in the moment where like I need to use the dash dance game and full hop game to earn the interaction.
Yeah, definitely. Otherwise, it a lot of times ends up with you attacking out of positions that don't have like merit for attacking out of because you haven't put in the effort to make sure you're in like a position where you should be doing that, you know.
Yeah. And then yeah, and I think what throws me off is that Fox is just as fast as me. I'm So like my primary practice partners were like Peach players, so a lot of floaties, Jigglypuffs, and stuff like that. So
We're
I guess
Peach
like I'm
players. Okay, it makes sense why you think no one in the world can avoid your Nairs.
probably. So I guess what I guess I think what it is I got really used to like being the faster character, and so now when something's like just as fast as me, like I'm not. I guess I don't have as much certainty on when to like earn interactions.
Right. And it's because against so there's this position where you're both holding stalemate range that we've been talking about.
Hmm.
Um Characters like, let's say, Peach is a good example, although this is true for pretty much every character except for Falcon and to a lesser degree Marth. Marth can do it every now and then. But like Peach can't hold the range. So like in Fox Peach, you are the one who dictates every single range of the Dash Dance battle. So you get to decide how far away you are, you get closer. Like, you can close the distance or widen the distance at will. But in the Ditto, it's like you both have equal control of the amount of distance that happens, and so you have to play it out like on an even ground. So basically, you've just been like playing Dash Dance with training wheels for babies mode against like Peach and stuff like that, and Jigglypuff.
Right.
And now it's like, okay, so now you have to do that Dash Dance that you do against them, but like you don't have this like overwhelming speed advantage that gives you full control of like the spacing. Um, so I definitely do think that that is like an adjustment to make, and you can still play like the same game as long as you learn to like respect how their Dash Dance, like how it works, that they're at the same speed than you. It's kind of like being used to, winning interactions off of like being stronger. Like you're like, oh well, like if there's like a technique, and or like we're locked in some clash or something. If I'm just stronger, like in real life or something, you're just like, oh, I'm just stronger. Like I'll just like win using strength, and you just kind of like force it. But then,
Right.
like, if somebody has the same strength as you and you're completely evenly matched perfectly in strength, like they're literally like a clone of you, you would need to win purely off of like technique. And
Yeah.
so I think that's like an adjustment to make for sure. But yeah, I'm really glad this Dash Dance interaction happened because I wanted to sort of talk about this, but I didn't have a perfect example until now.
Yeah.
So that worked
Yeah.
out
I'm really
well.
glad. Yeah, I'm glad it worked out.
Okay, and then they just do this. The other thing I think is you're not thinking enough about what'll happen if your move hits. There's a lot of like, this is a really common mentality among Fox players in particular, which is like, if my move, I mean, everybody does this, but Fox is even more, is like, I'm just gonna hit him with a move, and then things will work out better for me because they have been hit by a move. And this is true, but things will work out even better for you if you hit them with a move that you've thought about what'll happen if the move actually hits.
For sure. I,
So, yeah, what were you gonna say?
I think what happens with me is I get preoccupied with thinking about like trying to get in on neutral or trying to do
Mm-hmm.
that like my mind's so preoccupied that I got the hit, but then like now I have to react to myself getting the hit. It feels like.
Right. It's because you're thinking of the hit. It's not
Okay.
about the hit, it's about killing the opponent.
Right.
Every opening needs to be about killing the opponent, and so every time you break for neutral, and okay, not every time, because sometimes you break and the percent range is about the same, but you want to be aware of the percent range that they are at, um, so that you can get like a kill.
Right.
So like for instance, like if I were them here, I would be really aware that if I get a grab, I'll kill you.
Hmm.
And that up smash is like about to kill or might even kill right now. I think it'll probably kill right now. Um,
Yeah, probably would.
and so I'm just like, okay, and like I'll be very aware. It's like kind of like you want to pick like 3 tools, 2 to 3 at any given time based on their percent and positioning, and you kind of want to just be aware that like those are the ones you're trying to hit. And so you play your whole neutral game the way you would always play it, but you only really try to hit them with moves in those positions. Because
like,
if you
right, like so, like if Fox was at low percent, like
drill, shine, grab,
drill, shine, grab, and then above 40 nair and back air
and
are
like
come
yeah,
more
and
into play.
drill up tilt, and
Mhm.
and also being aware of like stage positioning, because if you look at this like objectively from like an analytical standpoint, this nair is really really bad. Why is this nair so bad? um
It's
because first of all, the weak hit won't knock down, which is what happens. But
okay.
let's say he was here and the strong hit him, and it does knock down, which the percent tells me it knocks down. He's gonna slide the ledge. Like the Fox is just gonna literally slide the ledge. No progress was made, and you did risk your life from him up smashing.
That's true.
And so your worst case is way worse than your best case. And that's something you want to avoid as much as possible, obviously. But you can avoid these in general by being like, okay, like if they're at knockdown percent in the corner, I'm not trying to get nairs on them, and I'm also not gonna, for like it doesn't matter what the percent is, you're not gonna shine them in the corner. A lot of
Right.
foxes have this problem in the Ditto, where one fox is underneath the side plat, and they just run over and they're just shining them over and over, and they just go to ledge every time, like nothing
Yeah.
happens to them at all.
And
Um,
then they also get ledge invincibility and
and
some.
they ledge dash out, and then they get a shine, and then because they're in the corner, you go to center with it, and they tech chase you, and then you're dead.
Right.
That's like really really common, and so you have to just it's like it's more important to have a good win. Like one good win is worth like 5 bad wins, or probably more. And so the only thing that really kind of like how you were saying, where you have to like earn the outplay, it's like, or like earn like the interaction, you also have to earn it specifically to interact with the tools you want to interact with. So it's
Okay.
like it's basically like you're solving a harder problem of like, I need to earn the interaction and I need to know the right moves to use in the interaction. But when it actually works, you get these big, crazy, nasty rewards. Rather than playing like, well, when I focus too much on like getting the moves that actually matter, I feel like my neutral is slightly worse, which it is. Like your neutral is obviously going to be slightly worse in terms of like hitting your opponent. Like you're going to hit them less when you're fishing for your good moves. But the moves when they hit will matter more. And so like eventually like every interaction is some form of risk. And so when you take a risk, you want there to be a really good reason behind it. And eventually that'll just add up to be stronger. Like you getting 3 neutral openings that are really well earned and hit really hard is way more useful than the other fox getting 25 neutral openings because they nared you anytime their brain told them to.
Right.
And a lot of times that ends up as the decider between kind of like the all right foxes and the really good foxes. Uh, like somebody pretty decent will play Leffen or something like that, and they'll win like a surprising number of interactions, but they'll also not be great interactions to win, and then Leffen will win like 4 in the
and,
game and just
and
win.
then yeah, because he
So it's
knows
like,
like correct moves to use
mm-hmm. So it's
the
like the
right
only
interaction.
way to beat somebody who is playing perfectly safe neutral and then zero deathing every time they hit you. There's only one way to beat them, and it's to do it better. Literally.
True.
Like you're not gonna beat them by being more wild or more disorganized or anything like
'Cause-
that. Like you're only gonna beat somebody who plays that way by just outdoing it. And so you got to just get started playing that way now, because eventually you're gonna run into the Jmooks of the world, who just play
That's true.
mad safe and careful, and really clean and neutral, and then they get a hit and they zero death you immediately. And the only way you're ever going to beat somebody like that is if you do the equivalent, but with Fox, and even better.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, these raw grabs are desperate.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, and overall, in addition to that, I think that this is another thing that's really common that happens among Fox mains of a certain level is that your like your punish isn't great. Like your tech chase game and like your punish follow ups don't seem particularly consistent. Like the differentiator is always, does it feel like it's taking effort? When I watch someone's punish game, does it look like they're like, okay, and then I need to tech chase this, and then I hit this? Or is it more like they're just like, you're not getting out? And those are the ones, that's the type of punish you want, where you have a fairly consistent punish. I'm not telling you to zero death off of all of your punishes, but I would say just to generally have a feeling that you 70 to 80% maxed out Fox's punish on a character without much effort is kind of important.
Okay.
You don't need to have the most perfect punish, but just in a situation like this, where you get this and you get this tech chase here, you need to get something a little bit better than this. You know, the back air. It's I would say right here, you could probably just full hop back air right here, hit them off stage. And just very comfortably get some sort of advantage here that you can kill off of or something, or even just wave land to the platform and crouch or something like that.
Okay.
Looking for a higher value position. But I think what I was gonna say is that a really common issue is that the reason why a lot of these Fox players, including you, don't hyper focus on the perfect opening that they need to get is because they're not hitting that hard. So landing random nair into, they spot dodge and then you grab them and then they go to the platform and you back air them once or something is that's not that different from perfectly landing the drill grab and up throwing and then struggling to tech chase and back airing. It's almost the exact same thing and it'll feel very similar. And so a lot of times, because I remember super feeling this, that I could fish for these big combos, but my neutral is so much stronger when I use a ton of nair. and so I just feel it's the lack of a big difference between the punishes off of the perfect opening versus happening to just kind of nair someone 3 times in neutral. I think the better your punish gets, the more pronounced that difference gets. And so the more obvious it feels when you're not getting big crazy combos.
Okay.
And so I think if you're struggling to really work your way out of the whole well, I want my neutral to be good, I want to hit them, it's probably partially at least based on the fact that you're not hitting hard enough when you get your really juicy perfect openings.
Okay. So I gotta maybe work on punish game more in Uncle Punch and 20XX and
for me
think about that more in,
for me it looks
tournament.
you just mostly need to autopilot tech chasing a little bit more.
Okay.
I don't think you need to super duper worry about stuff. It's basically just tech chase really well, and then if they're in the air, you up air.
Yeah.
It's Fox's punish is kind of basic.
So yeah, that was game 1.
Okay, yeah, I'm grabbing it right now.
Game 2 goes a lot better, and then game 3 is really close.
Yeah. This is just the curse of Fox Dittos, which is And this is why this is the hardest matchup to play while rusty. And it's because like if you miss your tech chase, and then they hit their tech chase, then they're just like it's like yeah, you miss your wave shine back out of shield here, and
it becomes a huge reversal.
Yeah, exactly. And then you just get reversal for everything. It's like rough. Make sure to drill here, right here. Even like facing backwards. I've been in this situation a bazillion times, and like with this full hopping in the corner thing, and I think it's really strong. But if you're backering them at low percent, like they're just gonna tank it, hit you.
Okay. Good to know.
Because I think one thing, there's a lot of positions in the Ditto that like aren't even really that strong. Like this is not right here. Like this isn't a particularly strong position, like full hopping here. Like you're not like, oh man, I have so many great options out of this position. But what you do have is the threat of reversal. And I think that counts for a lot. So I really like this position in the Ditto, full hopping right here, just because they're like, oh man, if I go even just an inch too far, I'm about to get reversal. And so I think I like the down air here more because even if they're at slightly higher percent, like, and this, let's say, knocks them down or something, so you get away for free. Because right now is like the worst time to do it ever. Right. But I would do the drill even if they were at like 50 or something, just because if I land this back air, you just push them back to stage. If I down air you, maybe you get drill up tilt and they like fly off stage or something like that. It'd be pretty juicy.
Yeah. Okay.
Alright, let's see here. And so, yeah. Okay, this is like a classic awkward position in the Ditto. Right here, where you know that they're going to approach you, but you can't really full hop and then like fall through this platform and punish. And so I understand why the dash back is done here. And you whiff punished it with Nair. What I was going to say is that a lot of times you can end up in this position where you dash back and then they just do this Nair in and they end up about here and you're here. And that is where we like the full hop here like that. But I think going to ledge and ledge dashing is actually pretty good just because you're so deep in the corner that they're probably just going to do like some sort of timing mix up and Nair in. I think going to ledge is good. And honestly, the one other thing I wanted to mention in this position is that full hopping here is still good. Right here, full hopping here is good, and then you just go to top plat.
Mm-hmm. And then you're more in center stage.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about this like corner thing quite as much. So everybody's gonna tell you something different on this.
Right.
And there's a lot of foxes that would disagree with me here, but I think wave dash in up tilt is not very good. Like, I think there's just and I think the reason is not that it's not that good, it's that it's like a lot more situational in terms of like, so the whole dash dance thing I was saying where you have like the dash man stalemate and then you move in, and then you like try to like poke them and stuff like that. There are outplays within that dash dance system that will give you the up tilt, where you convince them to chase you slightly, and then you get the up tilt. Like you'll be like, oh, here's the stalemate, and then you'll do something like, okay, now I'm gonna move forward, and then they move back. And then you move back, and then you feel like they're going to move in to close the space, and then that's when you wave dash back up tilt. But it needs to be from like a distance that was previously like that stalematey dash dance, pretty far away.
Right.
So the issue is more that like people get told all the time how good the wave dash in up tilt is, and then they literally are just like, now. Now. And it's like, no, like in general, like basic neutral, the wave dash in up tilt is not good. Uh,
Okay.
it's not good unless there's that specific dash dance setup that creates like a pretty good position to catch them. And a lot of times in that spot, the drill can do the exact same thing as the up tilt. I think there are certain ways in which the up tilt sometimes has like a higher payoff or whatever. So I think the up tilt's still good. It's just
Right.
it's good in very specific spots, and you got to be really, especially on this stage. I would say you got to be kind of careful, like the small stages, because you don't end up with that position all that much. And a lot of
Right.
times when you try a wave dash in, you're just gonna get like stuff for it more often than not, like that.
Yeah. I feel like I have a tendency to like the smaller stages because, especially in the Ditto, because I
They
guess,
can't run away as much.
yeah, and I like that stalemate position doesn't happen as often. So
Mm-hmm.
like I don't get antsy as often. So
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that you're not getting antsy if if nobody can really establish anything. That you're like, oh, we can just keep fighting whenever I really want. Feels just
right.
like Peach.
Yeah.
um, the truth is, I think a lot of times the full hop just becomes extra important on stages like this. But
Right.
you're right that there are a lot of positions where you just can't get away from the enemy fox, and I think that does make like the smaller stages a lot scrappier.
I also ended up played doubles a lot in the first 4 years, so me and my teammate like to scramble a lot, so that also might
Mm-hmm.
be why I like scrapping a lot.
Mm-hmm. I think being good at scrapping and scrapping a lot are really good. Like I think
Hmm.
they're really good skills to have as a player. I think uh, there's nothing even wrong with like you don't need to be the world's most patient player. Like not
Right.
everybody needs to be the world's most patient player. If you really feel like that's not you, you don't really have to do it, but you have to be capable of it enough so that like your desires to scrap are not a crutch.
I
Because
agree.
because like yeah, getting in on people's good, the mental pressure of them knowing that you want to get in and scrap, that you feel confident in the scrap, that you feel like you'll beat them in the scrap, that's totally fine to have, and it's okay to be a little aggro out of stuff. But if you don't prove, so a lot of times what'll happen when you're better at doing stuff like this is that the match will start, and then maybe you give off a little bit of like an aura that you're gonna kind of try to strap or start stuff, and nothing really comes of it. And then they kind of feel that out, so maybe they're gonna go for a little bit more stalematey movement and stuff like that. Um, and then so you're like, okay, they're going for a little bit more stalematey movement, and the problem is if it's a crutch, then you're like, just look at them over there stalemating. I'll kill you, and you just run over and you get hit. And but
Yeah.
so what you need to do is you go, okay, actually I will also stalemate. And they're like, "Oh no. Now you're playing safe as well." And you play it out just long enough that you can get maybe like one win out of like, the patient game. And then you go, okay, okay, back to the patient game. And they go, yeah, 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 okay, I'll get you this time out of the patient game. And you go, just kidding, we're actually scrapping like 3 times in a row. And now you're in their face, and they're getting very uncomfortable. And then, maybe you get an extra stock out of the way while they're trying to get their bearings. But now you notice, they're kind of getting their bearings again. Better not press it too hard. Back to playing safe. And
Hmm.
so you kind of have to feel the flow of the match and how your opponent is interacting to decide, when to really push it with like that aggro play and like that sort of like scrapping and stuff like that. Um, but it is useful, and you just have to make sure that it's not like, this guy can't wait 3 seconds, so just wait 3 seconds and he's trash. It's like as long
Yeah.
you got to avoid that
Yeah.
because there are a bunch of players like that, and it just makes them easy pickings.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, but there's a lot of like I don't know. I feel like a lot of times when I teach, it ends up as me just telling people to like embrace the stalemate and play like 7-minute games. And I think a lot of times that's just because I feel like they can't. Like most of the times it's like you don't really need to play a 7-minute game, but you know, if the game ends up going to 7 minutes and that means you lose every time, that's a big problem.
That's for sure.
Okay, let's see. Okay, this is actually definitely an issue. In the Ditto, you can make an argument that this is better or worse in some situations, but in the Ditto, in general, uh, and in my opinion, in general, across the board, for the most part, you do not want to wave dash during your ground movement, unless like yeah, if you're setting up for a grounded option, if you're wave dashing into a jab, you're wave dashing into an up tilt, something like that, wave dash is fine. Uh, but the majority of the time when you're moving, you really don't want to wave dash. I mean, if you think about it, wave dash in, laggy, while approaching, they can hit you, right?
Yep.
Wave dash
Yeah,
back.
it's like wave dashing is like a commitment.
Yeah, and what see a wave dashing back is like if you wave dash back and they whiff an up smash, you literally can't punish because you were too
Right.
busy wave dashing back. It depends on the distance and stuff, but yeah, like it's a big commitment moving away. And so when you're doing these wave dashes, you're basically just saying like you're just they just get to feel extra safe, or like they are literally extra safe. Whereas if you had dash danced here, you don't even have to pull the trigger, but they would feel it subconsciously that you could have like up aired them or something here.
Right.
And so you do it again here where you wave dash like this, and it just once again literally makes this drill completely safe. Not saying you had to hit them for it, but what I'm saying is if you dash dance, you could have potentially sometimes hit them for this.
I could have like threatened to hit him.
Yeah. So just be careful of those wave dashes. They are there to tempt you and mess you over.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, and like even stuff like this is just like, oh man, like the fact you didn't get any follow up on this is rough.
Yeah. I felt
And
like I could have done something a little bit different there to
yeah,
get something.
and these are the types of situations where it's like you could have definitely gotten him. Like you could have.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure if I gave you this situation 5 times, you'd hit him like 4 out of 5 times. The problem is that like these keep coming up like constantly. There's
Yeah.
like a lot of situations where you're like, I really kind of should have hit that. I didn't really hit it this time, but normally I would. And I feel like that's just happening a little bit
Too often.
often. Yeah, like I feel like it's like affecting the game more than it should be. Whoa. This is just a small detail, but right here, this was all good. Right here, you gotta get out of this corner. When you both
gotta-
shield right here, wave dash forward. Just wave dash out.
Yeah. Or like not shield and just dash.
That too, that's fine. Anything to get out of that position and not get stuck in the corner. And if you really do get stuck here like this, please just go to ledge and ledge dash. Like if you're super stuck right here, wave dash forward, down tilt, crazy. Yeah, dude, you're a crazy person. Like they're up here and they're at 45 and you're at 102 and you're just like jumping up to hit them.
Yep.
Like you don't have to fight this out. You can just chill. A lot of times, if you are the better player, it's better to be safe. If you
Okay.
feel like they're the better player than you, then yeah, take all the risks you want. But if like, if you're at high percent and you just so basically, if you're better than them, the chances are that they'll eventually give it to you. Just because your character control is better and your spacing is better. Like, if all these aspects are better, the longer the interaction goes, the higher chance that you're going to win.
Okay.
So if you're at, like, a high percent or you're in a very vulnerable like situation, then a lot of times just making it last longer will be in your favor. And there's a little bit of a balance because what'll happen is when you try to just make it last longer, you end up getting, like, too passive. And then you end up in this situation where they're like, you're at high percent, so I'm just going to keep throwing out moves until I get you because you're just trying to play too passive. And that's okay because there's like a balance to that. And once you get kind of good at playing the slower game, and it's not even that like because you eventually get past a point where you're playing super passive and like where you're not like you get past the passive phase and you're able to kind of play active and dash dance and look like you want to fight while at the same time not giving them an opportunity to actually kill you for it. And then eventually over time they will give you the opening more often than not if you're the better player. And so by just going for this risk, it's like, they're behind. They're on their last stock. Make them make something happen. Let them show you what they've got. You don't have to show them what you've got and take the game when you already are in the lead and at a high percent.
Okay. I'll try to keep that more in mind. I could have I didn't need to jump to the side platform there.
Yeah, I think you one thing I think you could keep in mind is making them work for it. Because it feels like you start the match, you're just going to work in the coal mines. You're just I'm always the one that has to do it the hard way. And the opponent's yeah, I don't feel like coming into work today. And you're all right, fine, I'll do the work for both of us, Yep. And it's you don't need to always be the one working hard. If you're behind on stocks, you're well, man, I'm behind on stocks. I gotta make it happen. And you're ahead on stocks, and you're man, I'm ahead on stocks. I have all these built up resources, and I'm just not even going in. I gotta make something happen. They're just sitting there, easy pickings, And then it's it's even, and you're man, we've been even for 3 whole seconds. I gotta make something happen. I fell off, And it's no, just calm down. Make them work for it. Get in situations where you can just full hop. See what they do. Make them work for it. If you're up a stock, make them work for it. See what they're actually gonna do. Oh, they're on that platform and I can't hit them. Well, guess what? They can't hit you. And if you were that fox on a platform, I guarantee you'd be I gotta get off this platform and make something happen. And so it's you can just be the other person and be yeah, let's see what you got, make something happen. And then when they come off the side plat, now maybe you're in a spot where you can get the outplay.
Okay.
There's no reason to break the stalemate, always. You don't always have to be that guy. What's up?
Eventually, I guess eventually someone's going to have to break the stalemate, so why can't it be them sometimes? So.
Yeah, exactly. Why can't it be them, 1 out of 10 times?
Right.
Instead of you just be break the stalemate over and over. And like I said, a lot of times it's if they're on the plat and you're on the ground, it's not you don't have to just be I'm just going to wait for them to come off the platform. You can just move around the platform uncomfortably and wait for them to make an error or an overcommitment,
Right.
Okay, so we're definitely at an hour now.
Yep.
Do you have any closing thoughts or questions?
This has been really helpful, kind of gives me stuff to look over, and I can I wrote down a bunch of notes from this, so I'll reread those. But
that's good to hear.
So I guess my my final question would be I'm not necessarily certain on what to work on to I guess level up. So I guess this is giving you some more stuff, but you have a more of a summary of what I should be focusing on currently.
Summary of what you should be focusing on. Not trying to hit them out of a stalemate neutral, playing, not considering, dash dancing to be nothing, or them on a platform and you on the ground to be nothing that you have to break by throwing out a move. Right. I think that is, the biggest, mental switch to go over. I think, let's see, anything really specific. Practice tech chases a little bit. You got to get a little bit more comfortable with your tech chases.
Okay.
No, honestly, I think the biggest thing is just going to be in neutral and more of a mental thing of feeling out the pacing and not trying to attack from so far away or when you haven't really earned it, trying really hard to use the full hop is a big one. Like use the full hop, the dash back, the shield to create situations where you can like check them if they do something wrong, and if they don't, you're safe. You know, and
Okay.
just try to get used to those moments feeling engaging, like you're looking for the outplay, and not feel like nothing is happening, because a lot is happening during those moments.
Okay. I think that's a good way to put it because I think like maybe I'm not intentionally doing that way, but I'm feeling that way. Like I'm feeling that it's nothing's happening, and I need to look at it more, or I need to be more or engaged that actually things are happening
Mm-hmm.
that I can do with that.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right, and if you have any other questions or concerns or anything or clips you want to send me, you have questions about, feel free to send them through Discord. I can answer those
Okay.
for you.
For
Um,
sure. And then I have actually one final question because I
yep.
would like to do another lesson,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. But I don't know like how like should they be every like 2 to 3 weeks? Just like because like
It really
I need time
depends
to like
on
work
like,
on stuff.
yeah, it depends on like how much you're working, like how much you're working on the gameplay. Um,
Okay.
I think like I would give it 2 weeks.
Okay.
The only time I tell people like basically like a lesson per week is fine is when they're going through like a gauntlet of matchups where they're like once a week we go over one matchup and I work on the matchup for a week. Like that's fine. But
Okay.
so if you want a different matchup, then yeah, we can do it within like a week or whatever. But if you want the same, if you want to go over like the same like Ditto stuff, I would say give it 2 or 3 weeks and really just think about like whether you feel like the VOD is gonna look really different. Like you want to wait until you feel like there's a different problem than the one I just talked about. Uh,
Okay.
or maybe like the same problem, but you've like made a ton of advancements, so it looks really differently. I just don't like to do another analysis and be like, yeah, these are the same problems.
Okay.
Like, so when you feel like you got rid of the same problem, it's no longer your biggest issue. Then you totally come back and we can talk about something else or whatever.
Okay. That sounds good. Yeah, I can definitely. I'll work on this, and then once I feel like I've made
Mm-hmm.
advancements, or if there's another issue, I'll reach out to you.
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome.
All right, I'll talk to you later then. Have a good
Yeah.
one.
Thank you
Peace.
so much. Have a
Yeah,
good rest of your day.
you too. Bye.